All right, for today's video, we're finally getting back to our Combiner Wars aerial bots here after all the new releases we've had. Yeah, this is Quickslinger, which is the trademark safe name for Slingshot that they had at the time. I think that when they do the new aerial bots that are allegedly coming out next year, that they'll be back to Slingshot. I think that's what it looked like on the listings. Yeah, he's if you recall, during Combiner Wars, for a lot of the teams, for whatever reason, they decided to replace a member of like each team. So originally, they didn't actually include Slingshot in the original lineup, and they replaced him with Alpha Bravo, the one that turns into the helicopter. And then a few waves later, they decided to fill in the gaps and do the missing members like Slingshot and Wild Rider and all the ones like that. And yeah, I mean, I guess it was just a way to get you to buy an extra toy that you wouldn't have probably otherwise bought in the case of Alpha Bravo. Slingshot is just a repaint, slight retool of the Fireflight mold here. And yeah, unfortunately, I mean, mine has definitely gotten a bit yellowed over time. Like you can see in some sections here, it's starting to yellow. Honestly, I probably just stored it improperly for a while. I think that if it was kept in kind of like a humidity safe environment, it probably would have been okay. But I've had this guy since before I knew how to properly store white figures. Yeah, it's a good looking jet mode here. It's not exactly the same as Slingshot's original jet. It definitely is closer to that, Fireflight jet, but it's still pretty good here. Now, obviously, he comes with the same hand-foot gun that Fireflight did and the same weapon. Again, same storage. You're just supposed to peg it on under the wings, and I think it looks dumb, but yep, that's not specific to him. That's a problem that all of them have. You can't even like sit straight like that because this kind of bumps up on the ground. It's just kind of stupid. Whatever. I just roleplay that these fly alongside, and I just keep the gun off to the side. I don't think he necessarily needs it. Yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is with Sideswipe, just for that standard one. Obviously, still doesn't really work scale-wise, but whatever. Here he is with Needle Nose for another average-sized deluxe jet, so you can see what the two of them look like together. And then here he is with the other limb bots that we've taken a look at so far. And yeah, it's a good-looking crew. Obviously, it would be slightly nicer if there was some remolding to the jets here so that these two weren't the same, but what can you do? I think it works relatively well since they all turn into such similar vehicles anyway. Yeah, to get onto transformation, obviously we'll start off by going into the leg mode. Unsurprisingly, it's exactly the same as Firefly. You just fold up the tail fin here and fold up these tail fins, kind of wrap the wings around the arms here, put away the landing gear, then take this whole section, double hinge it down and peg it into place. Rotate around the head and kind of unclip the knees here so that you can rotate the combiner port around. And then peg that back in, and then just take your little hand-foot gun here and fold out the heel and peg that into place. And there you have Slingshot or Quickslinger in his leg mode. Yep, unsurprising that it looks exactly like Firefly, but it works well enough. Then to continue on with the rest of the transformation, we can take the wings here and just fold them to the back like that. Take his arms, untab them, and bring them up on those stalks, just like that. Untab the legs from the front here. During Skydive's video, I mistakenly said that that these were attached to the back of his legs on Firefly, not to the front. I don't know why I thought that, especially since I just transformed them back and forth like several times, but whatever. I noticed that afterwards. I was like, that's incorrect, but whatever. It's probably just because it's a lot easier to unlock this section from the front, whereas with the Skydive mold, it's easier to unlock it from the back, but whatever. Yeah, you attach it there and then just tab in those sections, and then we can separate the legs and flip around the combiner port. And then, yeah, for him, I mean, you can bring the wings all the way back. I tend to leave his wings out to the side a little bit just so they kind of, flare out, give him a little bit of difference from Fireflight. Yeah, there we have Slingshot in his robot mode. I didn't realize I had Skydive peeking out in the background, that whole transformation, whatever. Yeah, no, I think he looks pretty good. Again, the proportions are still a little skinny and weird like they were on Firefly, but I love the head sculpt here. Slingshot was always my favorite aerial bot just because I feel like he's one of the ones that actually had like a bit of character in the cartoon, and I've always really liked his head design. If you're going to be totally accurate to the head design, his visor would be orange as well, like just a different shade of orange, not blue. But I don't know. I don't really mind that change because it helps his eyes pop a little bit rather than the original design, which was a little bit all, you know, samey for the face. But I like that he's got the stupid, you know, white panels on either side of his head. It's always been kind of an interesting, unique head design. But yeah, in terms of articulation, head's on a ball joint. He does have the nice cut, so he can look straight up like that, like Fireflight could. Shoulders are on ball joints. You can also use this transformation joint to go up and down as well, but otherwise goes out to the side about that far. He's got a bicep swivel right above the elbow, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrists. Waist joint, which kind of clicks into place and is a little bit off center, so it looks a little bit strange when you actually rotate the waist too far, but whatever. Hips are on ball joints, and on mine, it's okay on Firefly, but for him, the hips have gotten pretty loose, unfortunately, so I might have to tighten those up at some point. But yeah, they can go forward and back and out to the side. Thigh swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then just the sculpted A stance for the ankles there. So obviously exactly the same as Fireflight, no surprises there. We can give him his weapons. This looks stupid as usual, and you know, he's got the gun here, but they don't really have great storage because you have to just peg them onto the wings, which if you have the wings splayed out to the side looks even dumber than it did before. Again, personally, I just have the hand-foot guns kind of stay on their own as like little drones or something, and I just leave the gun off to the side, but that's what you're supposed to do for those. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Sideswipe and with Needle Nose, just for those average deluxe size comparisons. And then here he is again with the other limb bots here, so you can see what the aerial bots look like so far together. And yeah, no, I think they're a pretty good looking bunch. Obviously, just Silverbolt left to take a look at, and then Superion himself. But yeah, you know, they're all kind of samey in terms of how they transform. I mean, these two are obviously the same, but you know, even these guys have a pretty similar transformation, and most of Combiner Wars was kind of that way. So they're a little bit boring to transform back and forth in terms of variety, but honestly, it's kind of nice that even though they share such similar transformations, that they're not just all the same mold, because I could definitely see them doing that nowadays if they had such similar transformations. But still, they're you know, a fun bunch, all things considered. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Slingshot, aka Quickslinger, which, you know, Slingshot is just a better name. I just like Slingshot better, but yeah, it's Quickslinger, I guess, is as close of a trademark as they could have gotten at the time. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Combiner Wars Deluxe Class Quickslinger.